Accordion music, memes, what more can you really want? Amazing new Korean commercials. SSL really does have it all, Valdez.
They brought back the date vids. I don't know. I think at the end it said something like, Are you satisfied with this video? And he was like, join us in pain at SSL Challenge. I don't know, that was a weird ending. I think I may have misunderstood it.
Well, they rewound it, and then I was okay. I don't know, man. I just you really just have to accept the comedic humor for what it is. I feel like I don't know. At least when I remember back in my day watching the good old soO bubble ads. I look at that and I'm just like, okay, well, that's just not a thing. Do you remember soO Bubble?
Wasn't that from GSL?
Yeah, it was
the commercials.
It was from the first few seasons.
I just remember when they used to play K-pop in the commercials. Oh, that was it. I always looked forward to that.
We'll
before
never
the
get
game
back.
started, it was weird. It was like this kind of ritual, right?
Yeah, I think that's
it
really
got you into the zone. It's like, oh wow, this exotic Korean league, right? Now it's like, oh, you guys in the chat, you're just a little bit too late, right?
Yeah.
We all did that way back in the day.
Born too late to explore the universe, but not to watch SSL. So thank you all for coming out and tuning in tonight. We are here on twitch.tv/SSL series and, of course, still on YouTube. So if you want to watch us wherever you want, thanks for tuning in. We're coming back with our third series of the night. It's going to be soO taking on Patience. Patience, of course, coming down from SSL Premier. And soO recently qualified for this tournament. I'm really happy he's been able to make it in.
Yeah, I mean, he's in now. Now that he's qualified, it's like, I think he should be stomping nerds left and right. He should be. Again, he should be.
That's what you would expect. I think soO very different than the other legends we've seen so far. Players who used to be very good at the top of their game and now kind of struggling a little bit. soO is just really just insane. I would not be a bit surprised if in the next season of GSL, which starts up later on this week, we get to see him stomp his way all the way to a grand finals again. He's just insanely good and really should be a tough matchup for Patience.
Yeah, and again, he makes it into challenge. I think he should be stomping nerds, as I said, and just to finish that thought, I think he should be getting out in first, probably like Hero. I mean, Byun, he's kind of been back and forth, sometimes good, sometimes that doesn't look like Byun bad, but I think soO, again, he's very consistent, and that's really what it takes to do well in some of these leagues. So I think he should take this match pretty easily. Patience coming down from Premier. Still, I mean, this is challenge. So it's a whole new playing field here, Patience. You're going up against soO, who, if soO makes it into Premier, I think he definitely could be in the top echelon of those guys. So.
Echelon. What a great word.
Echelon?
I do agree. He definitely can. I wouldn't expect him to necessarily have a totally flawless run. We've got some great players in here. Like you said, Byun, infinitely capable of taking games off of really anyone. Maybe this is, the year of impact. I don't know. He's coming up. He's looking strong. But these guys are our next combatants, opponents, whatever you want to call them. Patience looked really kind of outclassed in SSL Premier last season and didn't wind up being able to retain his spot there. Now he's dropped down to challenge and has to prove what kind of caliber player he is.
Well, he's got a really hard matchup to start the night, or even just to start the tournament. It is soO. He's 0-0 for now, but he's got a big smile on his face. It's really admirable, actually, that he can go through so many disappointing losses in finals and still show up every day, do his job, not be too down about it. He's even making jokes about himself on social media. He's like, you don't know what it's like to lose this many finals and stuff like that. And he's really, just poking some fun at himself. I think people are beginning to realize, in a sense, that he is so consistent and so good that even though he's not winning finals, he's still such a fantastic player. Maybe he feels pretty good about that as well.
Oh, I'm sure he does. I mean, just making it to a finals, even though it feels disappointing to lose, incredible. And I feel like he's so consistent at being able to do that 6 times in his career that you really just have to respect what a monstrous player he is. In a different timeline, he won all those finals and is the greatest player in the world. So here he has to go up against Patience. It's a ZVP, and we get to play once again on our 2 new maps, Odyssey and Ascension to Ire, but also now Abyssal Reef to finish it off, if we even make it to game number 3.
Yeah, we might not make it there. This is going to be a pretty interesting matchup, to say the least. Patience could definitely bring out some cheesy, aggressive timings. Doesn't have to be cheesy, but, you know, Patience, he did have that kind of hourglass logo for a reason in SSL for a long time. It's like you either his time runs out after his timing, and either it works or it doesn't by the time the time runs out. And
a very classy way to express that. You do have a timer running in your Patience games. Like, well, we make it past a certain point, and it's like, I don't know.
Well, my build didn't work. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
he has gotten more solid over the years.
That is very true.
I think he's definitely...
I think we might need a new logo.
Yeah,
but
I think that's definitely...
I think we used to do new logos for every single SSL season, and then we stopped doing that and just keep the logos the same now for all the players. But
I think that's better. You know, you kind of like build your brand as, oh, that's your logo forever, right? Instead of like, oh yeah, I was the hourglass, and I was the tank, and I was the sun that one season. It's like, how do you remember all that, you know?
Yeah. I don't know. What's your favorite SSL logo, Valdez? Big fan of like...
I would like to have them all in front of me. The Mara one is good.
That's true. The Gumiho one where the panel's falling on his head, that's also pretty good.
I remember, yeah, I was casting that game.
I like,
it was crazy.
Was it Stats and his like Halo probe? Big fan of that. So
saving all the probes.
He needs to change his medal to like
losing all them probes.
What is it, like the Stats fighting emote that he has in his Twitch chat? Like, kind of so good. Oh my God.
For you guys who are joining late, actually, because he mentions Twitch chat, we are on Twitch, obviously. Today it is on SSL Series, probably on /SSL in the future. We don't know exactly when that is coming, but we will let you guys know. But it looks like we're ready to jump into match number 3 here, Patience versus soO.
Yeah, so let's go ahead and do it. Our third best of 3 of the night. It's going to be a ZVP featuring the recent GSL finalist versus Patience, a guy who's just demoted down here to SSL Challenge. He is spawning as our yellow Protoss player in the upper right-hand corner. What I like to call the reverse intro.
You did? That was pretty good. I like that. Then he zooms in. Another Dead Pixels player.
Yeah, it just struck me that we have two D-Pix players here in our SSL.
And that's soO. Down in the bottom right, you may know him.
So it reminds me a lot of Beyond, very kind of emotional, very expressive player. A lot of players, you don't really see them express that much emotion during the game. A lot of times that's kind of detrimental, but soO, very, very emotional, very expressive. You could even see his face during the recent GSL finals, and he's really a lot of determination, some heartbreaking losses, and really a lot of very, very encouraging, impressive wins as well. So we'll see what he has to bring out here against Patience Probe, coming all the way across the map, headed for the natural.
Yeah, early scout here from Patience. soO, definitely one of these players that can get a little bit aggressive at times. A very strong macro player, but not scared to turn on the heat, that is, and go for those very cheesy, aggressive builds. But
you have to turn it up past 100 degrees, past 200 degrees to cheese.
Heat that pan up to medium-high heat. You got to melt the cheese, guys. You don't want to keep it on too low.
I don't know. We've been seeing a lot of players burn some cheese tonight, Valdez.
Yeah.
Oh boy. All right.
Yeah, hasn't been the name of the game tonight for sure.
Indeed, it has not. No way you get that hatch rate down in Brood War, but there we go. Able to make it do its thing where it builds the building.
It bake.
Yeah. He's gonna bake a hatchery.
Bake that hatchery.
You gotta use an easy bake oven for that. You put the drone in the easy bake oven. You open it up. There's a hatchery inside. How does it happen? You can't explain that.
Goes in as a drone, it comes out as a hatchery.
One of the modern marvels of our time, Valdez.
Yeah. It's pretty cool. Also for you guys who are also joining late, some of these players, after the games, they might cross in front of the screen, and they might come up on stage and say a few words. We're up on stage to kind of facilitate that behavior, so that might happen. We don't know exactly how much it will happen. It is voluntary for the players. We're not forcing them to come up on stage and do interviews or anything like that.
It's our job
kind of a cool feature.
Kind of drag them up here and get them to participate. We'll see. We haven't done it successfully yet, so we'll figure it out as the show goes on. But third base about to finish up here for soO. Patience, unclear exactly what he wants to go for, but he does have that Stargate coming up, Oracle on the way, and Depths just now scouting things out, finding out how many bases soO has. He's the third. Knows pretty much everything going on.
Yeah, we don't really see too much of a formation of any kind of big timing attack out of Patience just yet. Might want to play the long game. Is starting out with that Stargate, which was scouted by soO. Will have the information. Did actually cancel the Overlord speed once he got that scout. Gonna save up that gas instead of using it because he has all the information that he needs at this point in time.
Now, we just got a chance to see a ZVP where Zest did not successfully scout the Zerg all-in that was coming his way. He wound up losing very, very badly to that and really just kind of crushed thanks to not being able to scout that. Now, this time, we're going to see a little bit of effective Oracle harassment, forcing a cancel there, as well as one drone kill. But I think the real thing to watch out for is going to be, you know, how this Phoenix is used. We're not going to see too many more committed to that, so it's not the mass Phoenix, but whether or not you just run it around being annoying, or if you really try super hard to get in there and get the scout on what's coming your way. Patience has a lot of options, but he does need to be very aware of what's coming his way because he is working on constructing this third.
A little bit of poking here from soO, trying to get some more information. You can see he's going for the melee +1. Is going to add that Baneling Nest. So deciding to go with this very heavy Ling Bane style, it seems, for now. Lots of drones. No other higher tech for now. Just trying to stay low tech here. Oh, he's going to squeak by there.
How does that even work? You got to dip those Zerglings in butter.
And he gets the sentry, too. That's really bad for Patience.
All right, well, it all starts to fall apart, Valdez. He's even going to get quite a few probe kills here, all the way up to 4 and a sentry. Does have to deal with these Adepts back at home, but there are plenty of Zerglings back there as well. Queens to push the Oracles back, and there will be some drone losses here, but it doesn't actually look like that many. The drones...
He's attacking the Lings because he's not controlling the Adepts. So he doesn't really get any damage at all. He just loses a bunch of Adepts trading against the Lings because he's dealing with Lings in his own base, and Patience really taking some big losses here in the beginning of Game 1.
Yeah, I was watching him with the Adepts in the Mineral Line, and I just never saw the drone's kill counter go up. I was like, well, you know, maybe it's just not working. And then I see all the Zerglings died. I was like, oh. Okay, well, that's a pretty good way to do it. So, miraculously, soO loses very few workers and is now sending a massive counterattack across the map.
This time with Bane's going to open up with 6. And he's even getting Baneling speed, so he will commit heavily to this kind of Baneling Ling Hydra style. Oh, we've been seeing every now and again.
Just going to run right by the Adepts, and here come the Banelings. That Zealot will not last very long. Banelings busting down the front door.
Pylon just falling like a house of cards, and goodbye sentries. He's got no defense at this point. He just has a couple of overcharges, but the Lings are so fast they can just run by it.
Got to target down that assimilator. But now also needing to defend back at home. This time there are not Lings in the Mineral Line, and soO will be forced to pull those drones. However, many drone or probe kills back at home, and that's a good defense at the ramp, but there's more Zerglings coming into the natural.
Yeah, I like what soO's doing. He's like, okay, you can have my third. I don't really care. I just want to shut down your mining hardcore. I want to do as much damage as possible. I can eventually clean this up with drones and queens. I'll take damage too, but I will definitely be a lot farther ahead than you.
Oh, for sure. 36 workers to 54 and 3 open, unharassed bases. Only taking 9 worker kills. I feel like that's cheap compared to how much damage soO was able to do.
Good find here on the Banelings. Could have added to the damage that's already been done.
Yep, being very vigilant, keeping track of not only his own base, but also seeing exactly what his opponent has. Doesn't have anything in position to defend against more Zergling harassment, and Patience is going to lose more and more probes.
Yeah, soO, as we said before, he's totally fine to just trade Lings. I mean, it's so cheap at this point. He's adding a 4th base. Looks like it did just complete, so even more larva to make this harass pretty viable. And here come the Hydras, too. Hydra upgrades. He's going to have +2 for his Lings, and Patience, he's kind of just leaking army supply at this point.
Yeah, if you rush just straight for this build, I think a lot of times it finishes on like 60 or 70 workers. This is a little bit lower than that, just thanks to the harassment he took earlier on. But he has everything that he needs back at home to defend against however many Adepts do shade in there. And wow, Patience commits.
I think you would want to be shading out of the base rather than into the base.
Or you want to be pressuring both in the base at the front and then having the Warp Prism come in from behind at the same time to split the Zerg forces. But instead just really does neither one of those and loses a bunch of Adepts.
The Zergs tonight just styling all over the Protosses, making it look really easy with the Zerg harass all game long. And the Protoss is just struggling to get out of their base and put any pressure on at all. This is like the sad Protoss feel when you're stuck in your base the entire game because, you know, Zergling harass, Muta harass, you have to make a bunch of cannons, you know, as it was back in the day, but you can never get any pressure onto the Zerg who eventually just takes the whole map.
Well, the big gateway explosion coming up here for Patience. He's got 5 about to finish and 2 Immortals on the way. But will those be up and ready in time? soO moving across the map and even has a couple of drones. Oh, drones. What could possibly your purpose be? The answer could only be manor hatcheries, Valdez.
I hope he does.
It's the only possible purpose.
Well, he's coming on in here. There's only sentries left. GG. soO doesn't get a chance, but he will take game 1 pretty easily.
The drones' names were Gene and George, just trying to type their initials in chat. Effective nonetheless, soO takes a very clean game number 1. Most impressive thing I noticed there is his defense. While he's putting on all that pressure with Zerglings in Patience's base, he also has the Zerglings in his mineral line, and Patience not focusing enough correctly kills all the Zerglings but no workers, and just keeps getting more and more behind after that.
Yeah, he just took way too much economic harassment, and soO just looked totally in control of that entire game. This is kind of what I was expecting. soO, I think he's definitely in the running to get either first or second place here. That would be my guess. You know, it is the first day.
You are extrapolating a little bit there,
but still,
Valdez.
I mean, when you look at the player list, it's like, okay, well, this guy, he's soO.
Yep.
It's soO. Right?
Hero already promoted away to the beyond of Premier, so we have no real, I guess, Protoss hope to take him down. I mean, Zest did not look great today. SOS did not look great. All
Classic,
these other...
he made it to Premier, right?
Classic?
Yeah, he did. Yeah, so he's not here either. Deer made it to Premier as well. Like, all these other really good Protosses that were in Challenge, they're gone, and they've been replaced by, you know, the second tier, if you will.
Well, I mean,
here in Korea.
Patience has these games to define where he finishes in this first stage, this first round robin. He's going to have to do a little bit better here in game number 2 against soO. So spawning up in the upper left-hand corner. Upper right-hand, but nobody spawns there. Upper left-hand corner, as we fly better fly into this map. This is Patience.
Patience wearing the yellow Dead Pixels jersey for Protoss.
You don't see a lot of jerseys that have multiple colors.
Down in the bottom right, it is soO, the Beast, the Zerg.
I guess Zergs kind of count as beasts.
Just reminds me of when people are like father and husband. You know, when I was talking about soO.
Oh.
Zerg, Beast.
There we go.
Father of many Zerglings and Hydras.
Is it not mother? Aren't there just queens?
Yeah, I suppose so.
They're not matriarchal?
But soO himself is a man, so...
Okay, well,
he's making it all work, and you know, back at home, he's running the Overmind.
Does the Overmind have a gender? I don't think so.
Well, in this case,
this is a future where none of that matters anyway. So
to make this all work out in my mind, it's got to be soO. So
okay, all right.
Today it's male.
Certainly, soO's Overmind is you know, pumping at full capacity. Looks incredibly strong so far. And here comes Patience, once again going for that early expand. Nothing too crazy or cheesy, no double robo-bays proxied in any locations today, at least not for Patience.
We might actually get to see Ascension to Ire played out in a normal game.
Imagine that. Let's not get ahead of ourselves here, Valdez. We still could have any manner of shenaniganry and chicanery and all kinds of those things. So we'll see what is in store. Right now it does look, in fact, pretty normal. But this time a double expand for soO right as his pool finishes. So he's going to have a slightly more economic focus to his early game.
Yeah, soO, for me, whenever I would see him in best of threes, I always felt like he would take game number 1 pretty easily, and then game number 2 he would kind of get tired. He'd be like, oh, I'm so much better than this guy. Let me try to go for something weird, like some kind of timing, some kind of all in, and it would sometimes it would work, but sometimes it would fail. And I feel like soO would sometimes get himself into trouble that way by, getting himself into a rough game 3 best-of-1 situation against a good player. So I hope he just plays it normally. I don't want to see any impact builds where it's like, I'm just going to go kill you. I hope you don't have a wall.
Well, I'm sure Patience certainly hopes that he doesn't have to go up against any of that. But one thing that Patience has been doing very vigilantly is he'll always get that first Adept out, send it across the map, at least get enough information to know he's not going to die anytime soon.
By the way, for you guys who are curious,
he's back.
The SSL Challenge Mosquito, our mascot, he's back in full force. Monsoon season is here in Korea. It's about to start, which means that it's going to torrential rainstorm every single day for about maybe 8 or 9 days, and then it will stop. But that also means lots of humidity, lots of mosquitoes, and that also means that the SSL mosquito, he's back.
Our minor anecdote here, it is absolutely the most annoying mosquito. They pick it out, especially
he never
for
leaves.
us.
He hangs around the entire time, and then he leaves with us when the broadcast ends.
The longest lifespan of any mosquito, and he's here just to annoy us. But I'm sure he'll come on stream one of these days.
He's been on stream
he
a lot
has
of
been
times.
on stream a few times.
When we were back at the other setup, which apparently you guys, you can't tell we're on stage, but the camera angle is slightly different.
I did not realize that this backdrop is quite as wide, but
yeah.
This is where everybody tells us, talk about the game. I'm like,
you're missing the Adept micro.
Man, look at him go. Those are just like so impressive.
Similar build from Patience, where he goes Oracle Phoenix and tries to put on some pressure with the depths. This time no Lings in his base, which is positive for our Protoss buddy.
Every time I see the Oracle head across the map, try to deal damage, and then make that sort of like float of shame back home, along with the Adepts, like, oh, well, we really couldn't accomplish all that much. And that kind of has been the story of the series so far. Patience just really not able to affect a lot of damage to soO. He's been pretty airtight. This time got a very early third, so that should really slingshot his economy ahead. However, Patience, his third is coming up unfettered so far.
Yeah, kind of just the outcome of the two builds going up against each other, like the response out of Patience to get that earlier third base, and the double robo, so probably lots of commitments to
Patience. He's screwing it
Immortals.
Up. He built the robos in his own base, Valdez.
Yeah, he didn't proxy them.
Amateur mistake.
You gotta proxy him.
You can only proxy them once you've won over $400,000.
I guess
that's when you learn the true secrets.
You gotta check your esports earnings before you do the build.
That's where I learned it, man.
You gotta make sure you're at a certain level.
$482,000 in SOS's pockets. So,
whoa.
Patience will be up there one day.
How do you know he keeps all of it in his pocket, though?
He's got big pockets. Have you seen that guy?
Yeah, I guess so.
I just assume...
He always wears these really baggy shorts. I guess that must be the reason.
I always assume that it's his esports earnings in his pocket.
Makes sense.
It does indeed, Valdez. 5 gateways on the way for Patience that will be scouted out, at least in part, by that hasty little Zergling soO sent in to scout. However, soO has plans as well. He will not only have completed his Baneling nest, but producing a massive swell of Zerglings with that Baneling speed on the way.
Going Spire this time, okay. Wonder what that will be for. Is he just going to be putting on some Muta Harass?
For the Scourge, man.
If only.
Yeah.
That day is coming. I know you're excited, Rapid.
Yeah, so this is like the first Tremors movie where the Banelings go on the ground. When we hit I think it's the third Tremors movie, they figure out how to fly, and that's what Scourge are.
It's terrifying.
In Brood War, so... Yeah, they'll figure out how to fly eventually. It's kind of weird how this is in the future, but the Banelings kind of forgot how to fly and now have to crawl on the ground. Maybe they just evolved wings in StarCraft 3. Who knows? Nice drone control. We'll lose a few of them. Actually tried to save that last one by turning it into a Spore, but was unable to do so. Drones die. Good control. there on the Oracle. However, there are, I'm guessing, Mutalisks about to pop out. Could be for Corruptors if he's foreseeing an air toss transition, but that would be a little bit premature.
I think he might have gotten the vision of the 2 Robos too,
right?
Which would have been nice for going a bunch of Mutas if that is the angle he is going to take.
And there they are. 8
Mutas to start. Looks like he doesn't have any more Larva. Doesn't start any upgrade just yet. Going to go straight into, in fact, Hydras as the transition.
Yeah, he's going to +2 ground attack. Excuse me, coming up, so not committing at least to any air upgrades just yet. Really good job at dealing with every single bit of harass Patience is sent across the map. Early Adepts, early Oracles, both of them taken out. The Warp Prism drops off its payload to Zealots. Those die, Warp Prism dies, and soO is just chilling.
It's really good to get that Warp Prism out of the sky. You can easily just, carefree, go across the map, do your own harass.
He has supply block, though, so there we go. He's at 158 out of 158, and he instantly pops enough Overlords to go up to max supply. So here come the Mutalisks. There's a cannon there to defend. I really feel like a lot of what these are going to be very useful for is either picking off scouting units, limiting, oh wow, taking out the Phoenix, limiting any Warp Prisms that come across the map, or also possibly sniping these High Templar.
Yeah, that would be a nice move. Not sure if he did see the High Templar in the mix here. I think he did get a look at the Templar archives, so should know that there's either High Templar with Storm or Archons in the mix. He's making a lot of Banelings, which generally doesn't do good against either of those things. But if you make enough, as is the way with Banelings, you kind of just go for the surround and totally overwhelm the Protoss.
Yeah, you don't want to overwhelm through Psystorm, though, so going to be a lot of on the control of Patience. Can he get his force fields and Storm down in the right position? He will be trying to erect his 4th base, and the defense is going to be very, very challenging.
Yeah, it seems like Patience sitting back with this army. He kind of senses what's coming. He's got some Overlords, or rather Observers, out on the map, getting this vision, and just trying to set up the defense you were talking about, making some Phoenixes one at a time to deal with the Mutas, who haven't really got too much damage outside of forcing those Phoenixes.
soO just maxing out already, 200, and just probably overrunning this 4th base attempt. Here comes all the Zerg running forward, and even though there is a cheeky little stasis ward, everything will be forced to cancel.
Yeah, nice cancel there. The 2 Zealots are cleaned up by the Mutas, and all of a sudden, Patience kind of facing a 3-base versus 5-base Zerg situation where, yeah, you have a lot of high-tech stuff, but eventually soO will just outproduce you.
Oh, and look at soO pulling back almost instantly once those Psystorms start to come down. Okay, didn't do that.
Trying to prove you wrong.
Yeah, exactly the opposite of what I just said happening there. Does lose a lot of Banelings. Zealots, as we pointed out earlier, do not shoot up, so the Mutas will be able to take out quite a few, but Patience continuing with this Zealot harass.
Oh, some cheeky Banelings just rolling through the front door.
Really? Is this
there
how
are
you
cannons, but again, look
at
that damage, 15 probes, just like that.
God, if I ever see Baneling drops done again, I'm just like, that's not the most efficient way to do it, man. You've got to just walk in there. It's working out pretty well. 15 probe kills. That puts us on a 30-worker deficit. Now 35-worker deficit.
That just reminds me of what Dark always used to do against Terran. When the Terran would take the 3rd base in Heart of the Swarm, you just roll a bunch of Banelings in. If you're not paying attention, you don't have bunkers, you're going to go down. And this is kind of the more embarrassing version for Patience, where it's like, oh, you just didn't realize that a bunch of Banelings rolled in your front door. And now soO, he's like, okay, I've done some damage, but I need to stop your 4th base again.
Ooh, soO, or Patience rather, getting a little bit heavy on that Storm usage. I'm not sure if he has too many more left, and those Banelings are all very weak. The Archons, their splash damage, taking out every single Baneling in the front. There's still more behind, but those Immortals are living up to their name. How many Immortals is that?
He's got 13 Immortals at this point in time, and, they don't really, they bunch up well, but they're really thick, right? If you will.
With 2 Cs at the end.
Yeah,
man.
exactly. So the Baneling Splash doesn't really do too well against them. He did take out all the High Templar, which is nice, but he's got to somehow stop this next attack.
Canceling quite a few of those Banelings, killing some of them as well. Banelings rolling in all over those Immortals. However, those barrier shields actually doing a lot to mitigate damage.
Oh man, it looks like Patience might have just done it here. His army just a little bit too strong, and soO, I think a little bit too overconfident, just rolling straight into Storms on a map like this. GG, Patience ties it up.
Wow, I took a little bit of a detour to visit our friend Luca Di Supply at the end there. A really devastating loss after crushing soO's initial army. He was down almost like 30-40 supply, just not enough to deal with that massive, incredible Immortal Ball.
Yeah, I think if you're going to do that style too, I think you need to add some macro hatcheries. I'm not sure if he made one.
He did have one in his main.
Okay, because it seemed like he had the minerals and he had the gas, but he didn't have the larva because he just made a bunch of stuff but have minerals and gas left over, so you couldn't remax entirely. So I think if you're going to play that kind of just roll over your opponent's style against the very high-tech Protoss army, you either have to have the larva available or not roll all your Banelings into the Storm and Archons. So.
Yeah, I mean, soO did have moments where he would sort of bait out the Storms and pull his units back instantly, but he had several times where he just roll all his Banelings into Storm, into Immortals there at the end. Baneling versus Immortal is just not a great matchup. So,
Patience, that was the last-ditch effort for sure.
Able to hold on long enough and build up that Death Ball, roll it across the map, and I think Patience's roll went a little bit better. So he's going to tie up the series at 1-1 and take us into our last game in this best of 3. But first we got to jam out a little bit. Here we go. Our final map coming into it is going to be Patience spawning in the upper left-hand corner. Got it right this time. I missed the days when they spawned in the upper right. Made my life so much easier.
Yep, that's Patience. His opponent is soO, the purple Zerg, trying to make his way to another finals. He's got to get through challenge first.
I don't know if you saw it, but there was a hype video that came out for SSL. I think it was about Premier, and had Classic being asked what he thought about his opponents and stuff. He's talking about like Hero making out first place in challenge, and Classic's just like, oh, there's a first place for challenge? Like just completely just like dumping all over that achievement. It was like, wow, the trash talk is real. So if you guys haven't checked that out, you can go to Esports TV on YouTube and see all the crazy hype videos, probably also including some of our wacky SSL caster skits that go on.
Yeah. It's kind of funny, though, that Classic says that because he couldn't get first
well, yeah,
place
he didn't get first in challenge. He advanced as well.
Maybe he's making fun of Hero saying, oh, I got first place. I don't, like, for Hero, he didn't really know the format of challenge the entire time he was in it, so he asked a bunch of questions like,
well, it could also be completely
what does this mean,
Yeah, could be misunderstanding it, I don't know, but trying to block a third hatchery from coming up, keeping the scouting probe there and aware. Behind it, going for that early Nexus again. So no big surprises, just being annoying.
The hatchery dance.
The probe actually might die. Okay.
Close.
Close enough. And yeah, third base going to be coming down on Abyssal Reef, our final map of this set. Kind of a repeat from our first series where we saw the same map order. But now we get a chance to watch soO on it. Now, so soO lost game number 2. He had a great thought. He's like, okay, well, I'm going to pressure the fourth base, try to make it cancel. Success. But then he stays on this very Storm Immortal susceptible army, tries to roll it in, and all of a sudden he just can't remax in time. So maybe, like you said, Brendan, more macro hatcheries or just a different unit composition when he needs it.
Or just more patience, no pun intended, right? You see that
well
army,
said, Valdez.
And you say, okay, maybe I'll go for a counterattack, or I'll hit another base, or I'll tech up. I mean, he was getting his infestation pit, but it was a little bit late. But again, don't roll into storms. It's kind of the lesson.
So we're learning so much here tonight.
Yeah.
I learned the double proxy robo is the build I'm trying on ladder every game.
It's a viable build, apparently.
I'm learning that we need to not roll Banelings into Storm. This is the educational stream. Kids, if your parents are trying to make you turn off the TV or the computer screen and go to bed, say no. This is the educational SSL stream. make him sit down and listen.
I know it's 10 a.m. and your parents are weird for trying to make you go to bed, but don't listen to them anyway.
Oh, the crazy times in which we live. Adept coming out once again for Patience. He's been very consistent, getting that out there, finding what he needs to find. We'll be able to get information at least about the third base. It's there. Wow, and actually saves it at the end. Impressive.
Good spot there, too. Can hide for a while, and if it does get found, can trade pretty well. soO does know about that Twilight Council.
Yep.
3 more gates on the way. Patience looking to get a little bit frisky in this game.
Much like the answer to every episode of Tool Time, all you need is more power. And that's what he's going to be going for. Powering up with a bunch of gateways. And I'd be really interested to see if Patience wants to go for a little bit more of an early game timing. You know, we talked earlier about how his logo is an hourglass, talking about how he does have kind of a timer on a lot of his strategies. He needs to get them done and execute them. Otherwise, things kind of fall off. Well, you know, we really haven't seen that. That was a remarkably sort of late game turtley strategy from Patience that was executed very well in Game 2. Maybe trying something else here. Game 3. Nope, third base on the way.
I mean, he made the 4 gateways, but he didn't warp in anything. Maybe just a defensive kind of play for now. He's continuing to make probes, so we know he's not doing some weird kind of, you know, 2-base all-in.
I was worried there for a second. You never know that moment they're just going to hit the kill switch.
Well, on a map like this, would have been pretty hard, but Patience going to squeezes himself into that hole. The Stalker getting in there.
I think another lesson we're all learning here tonight is what is and isn't a tight wall. I've seen Zerglings slip through the tiniest of cracks here, and indeed Adept Shades coming out. I think he's going to complete those. Yeah, 2 Adepts split between bases.
2 at a time. These 2 will be cleaned up relatively easily. Nice targeting there, but over here, able to pick up 6 kills in total. 4 for 6. Not bad. But at the same time, he does lose those 4 Adepts. So soO, having made a bunch of units already, looking to put on some pressure at perhaps Patience's third base. But as I say that, he is just backing off back to his base. He's losing more drones right now. The Observer is not showing it to you guys. Okay, in the natural here, going up to 11 drones lost in total.
And more will fall as these Adepts continue to deal damage. This time they are not targeting Zerglings. They are targeting those drones at 14 fall. A big difference. Stark contrast to our first game. So Patience is continually improving. Didn't look that great in game number 1. Game number 2 looks much, much better. And now, even here in game number 3, he knows what's coming his way, and he is doing a great job defending.
Spire again. And, I mean, Patience, he already has cannons in place, at least at the third base. And this pylon over here of Patience hasn't been found. So that's that really nasty pylon that's kind of just like you're playing against the computer or something where the units continuously spawn out of the sides and you have to, like, stop the waves, right? He hasn't killed the spawner. He needs to get that spawner. He needs to kill that pylon, or else he's going to continuously just not have mining at his natural.
I thought he was actually
zapping again.
Yeah, I thought he was going to put down another force field both in front and behind the Lings and just sandwich them and kill them. Instead, he lets a few of them through, and that's going to be probe kills coming off of it. Also on the other side, though, more effective Adept harassment. So really, really good play here by Patience, both defending back at home and getting damage done across the map.
Spawner's still alive. He can't see it.
Where are those coming from?
He should be able to see where the Adepts are coming from, what direction, so eventually. But again, he's lost a lot of his economy. He has had to remake a bunch of those drones. Will he have the army to stop this Protoss attack is the real question. And with this, again, the spawner's still there. Look at all these sentries, 10 in total.
Yeah, and the ones that are with his main army are actually full energy for the most part. So this is going to be a mental level of force fields. No really choke point is safe. As Patience moves across the map.
The 2 Immortals are so key here. He can keep them alive for so long. And once the War Prism comes over, for even longer. I think that 4th base is just going to have to be given up. I don't think soO can fight here.
Yeah, I mean, soO really going to have a struggle defending this. It looks like he will have to let it go.
Smart move. I think if you try to fight there, you just die. Try to hold at your third base, which is much more easily defendable. You're in a really bad spot anyway, but this is really your only hope of holding on.
I mean, massive amounts of Ravagers is what you need when you're going up against this many force fields, but I don't know, those Immortals, like you said, the backbone of this Protoss force, really going to be hard to deal with.
And you can see soO, as you mentioned, basically just Ravagers here, but not all too many of them. Patience making the move towards them, trying to split up against those corrosive biles, doing a pretty decent job of it so far.
Very even supplies here for both of our players, but with more Ravagers starting to fall and no flank coming in from behind, Patience is just in a great spot.
Those two Immortals are super healthy, just doing continuous damage over the entirety of this fight against all of those armored units in the front. I mean, it just looks like too much from Patience. He's pushing on the third base, and I think soO's going to lose it here and perhaps lose this game.
Yeah, the third base being focused down. It does fall. Falling biles from the skies are not actually landing all that well, and even though there's a decent concave for soO, there's a more decenter one for Patience. That's what it is, Valdez.
Yes.
Figured it out.
Exactly. So, yeah, soO's going to lose. GG. Patience takes the 2-1 and takes my prediction away as well.
No liquid bet is safe tonight, Valdez.
Smashing this one out of the park.
Patience, a 2-1 victory over GSL finalist soO. And, you know, really uncharacteristic there. I'm a little bit surprised, but, you know, you really cannot count any of these players out. You look at Impact, probably a lot of guys that, or a lot of fans of, you know, either player that probably didn't expect a lot out of him. I didn't know what to expect, but I did not expect him to look that good. Or really our very storied players, SOS and Zest, not looking very good. So I think the real story here in SSL Challenge is that really anything can happen.
Yeah, I mean, I felt like SOS and Zest definitely had to prove themselves after their abysmal performance in Premier. And the first day of Challenge, it's like, oh, well, that's kind of...
not looking good.
Ugh. You know, we thought you were maybe level 2, but you might go down a little bit more.
Sound effects are the emojis of voice. That's what I like to call them.
I suppose. Oh, hi, Bjorn. You're going by again. Okay.
Bjorn didn't even say hi to us.
He's focused. He's got a game.
That is very true.
He's going up against
You spoiled the
next
series, Valdez.
I know. That's just what I do. I give people information about what we're broadcasting here. It's just like...
how dare you?
It's almost like my job, Rapid, right?
Makes the scouting so much easier.
Yeah. Rogue versus Bjorn is going to be up next. Patience hasn't left the booth, so I'm not sure if we'll get to talk with him.
He's just savoring the flavor of victory, man. Tastes good.
Yeah. Maybe watching those replays, studying a little bit. soO just, like, pieced out of here as soon as possible.
Oh, yeah, he was done, though.
It's past 12, just past 12. It's like 12:03 right now.
Trying to catch that last subway. I think he's a little bit late.
Yeah, it's a weekend. He's going to be too late. Poor guy. Well. But, yeah, no commercial. Yes, but good job, Patience.
Come up here. All right, so Patience is going to come up and say hi on stream. Yeah. All right. Yep. We're going to commercial, but we're going to get him up here. All right.
You want to say something, Patience? Thank you? Say thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Thanks, Patience. You got to see him way off there on stream. So bye, and goodbye to everybody else. We're going to head off to a